Ebusaye mo bibi akwaba enfambra Pinaxtv eso se yisin konwa se ya na chese ensem bebre na ayekoso ewo my Ghana munya ena me ne wo kase yekopie mu ewo bunu membu metre doma to be precise ho na chese Dormaahene owo ho no metre sa de yo agimambedu a wotoso mienu wodi nsem bia ba betudwa efa National Cathedral the former president Nana Addo Dankwa Kufuado chese wosi wo krodwem ha Cathedral de yesi nanso amena ne wo ho yen shede hu se dan ni but yesi Cathedral bi e wo honom Cathedral hu sense me fibra ye President John Dramani Mahama betina so no a lot of concerns has been raised say it was say sa Cathedral ne de mpanimfo ba bonten no mutimi be kire mu yie se de sika ne sifa ye ekoye ne ade ne Dormaahene Nana agimambedu a otoso mienu nso de nano atomu bia wotrem say John Dramani Mahama the president must sit up ane it was what na sepa na chese asem no mutimi bubu ni ehwehwe mu yie na wo mo asebe sikani bi fa wo mo sase wo mudi ye kom fa so a wo mutimi to the expensive pet in the whole of West Africa pet nso a amfa so de bia American afo no omombebu hu enkonta na nensem we wo de atodwa amafo chem se say de kama se Dormaahene waswehye from utumfo to Mahama ene Mahama na so ba be ye pa wonyina ye because papa ya wa sha ase eka Cathedral asemi enye nne ne chena ene obegiem abusia emunchemu de bebre e wo honom nanso ansa na ne ye bekwa akotie se de Dormaahene de ensem no atu edwa mame nkomenua be ma Chris honom mra na ye nkotie ensem a ohini edeto montin so Chris ma akwaba from our studio sir
yeah mejo so
okay enti titi se Dormaahene Nana agimambedu a otoso mienu abekasa de afa Cathedral no ehu boyemu de poten na wotre
yes Dormaahene den sema ba betudwa na den sema na okano he was talking about the fact that National Cathedral over $97 million omudi ko shemu no ye hu som faso bia na aban ne bae no so ma ye some diggings be investigations bia koso am ye hu say there were some procurement breaches bi ho enti sisi anensem no kana koye mienu because investigations no two no ma ye emu de ehin no chere president enkoso na on prosecute omo ho bom no enti ye wo ba kwa ye on the juma na nkasa ene wo ba kwa ye on the side of the financing no said the baby ekoji sika ne di free ba no no so nti sika ne ban so wi a how a omu use sika no so ye ho investigations e wo honom so that is niema mi no e ho sisi but then as to say the na also ye prosecute omo no am say ko hwe ni video ne bad then we also elaborate on it
okay international say from what Dormaahene is saying the here ne say asem no mu hwehwe mu yie na omo asebe omo bon mu no yen serve omo the best asotwan ebetimi ede amo
yes exactly
okay ebusia for that is fenese ntwetwemu a efi yenua be Chris oba concerning nsema Dormaahene ede ababetu monten so yenko na yenkotie ne nsema wode tudwa ye ba yebedi hu nkomo
dia bede tuma ba ko pa ye corruption na ye hu se sa National Cathedral no sika be ka se ba se ne ye wura me de no krani be ka se adia bede tuma ba ko pa ye corruption na ye hu se sa National Cathedral no sika be ka se ba se ne ye wura me de no krani be ka se me de mentiase ye mu bi kra na eni se be $56 million e cheja kra ye tre ya be ye be 96 and 97 na no kure ni sa de wo aye kan ho asem aye gi dini yewura attorney general de ba be boy say ketesh asihye bi animu a no kure ni kama court na ma frɛ nipa ohwe so no na ya toto na no so ma kire de kodie ntia na Ghana fo nyina hu yewura eno de ma bia convince se bibi nim ma te se bi nim baba hyehyɛ ase me de nim se ne osite na mbom Ghana fo be ka bibi na se utimi ka yewura sa amana na betu ye ne de nokre ne yankiase ya pese bi bemfa ne ko gina mbra ano na o ma kire de kodie ntia se esika dodo no be ye ade abede toma ba ko pa ye corruption na ye hu se sa National Cathedral no sika be ka se ba se ne yewura me de no kure ni be ka se me de mentiase ye mu bi kura na eni se be be $56 million e cheja kura ye tre ya be ye be 96 and 97 na no kure ni sa de wo hoi aye kan ho asem aye gi dini yewura attorney general de ba be boy say ketesh asihye bi animu a
abusia wachia me a woni mu kasa wo se nana wasumu a ye nyina ya sum na chese Dormaahene nana agimambedu nana agimambedu a wotoso mienu na wotwe mu se de ekoso ne de wono wo ma chirechire mu de ombechire mu biabo no de wonte ase waye krado kra se wo be court right Chris wotwe mu se Attorney General in the report ba no obeka say ade no say be corruption and say we be ankoso no there still he forward it to court and we know this man is a lawyer.
Yes, Cecilia Crowder, a high court judge.
Okay.
Now, as something say, they are not talking about Attorney General. No, Attorney General Babontin, Eddie Abetu just say, on the side of a Kenofurata finance minister, as at that time, no, or more, Sikabi or release at the core National Cathedral, no Humbiano. It went through the parliament.
Okay.
And as we speak now, no, Attorney General, no, he has cleared a year Kenofurata say. With a National Cathedral, no, said yes, he can send no choir, no. I mean, the home boom with a corruption be
okay.
And due to me, no, and a year Dormaahene, because so TN 7 more bosso.
Okay.
Say,
what is
say, Attorney General say, will be a catastrophe be any money, but say it's room ye the ameti for a name you know. Is it Deloitte Ghana or something? Deloitte, yeah, or something like that. Or more audit you know, was mainly about Sikana Ekomu, no, and he said finance minister releases Sikana board, no, how or more Sikano echo down to a disbursement because yes, Sikabi or Mutuya. Na you say agreement granny ho. What I say, Yan Jin to Moses Sikana say near Beji, and I say Aja to Mumpokrana. Amount in particular, no meet to your bro so before I made your agreement, maybe yes, that is not the amount that they were supposed to take. They have about 15 procurement breaches. That one, yes, indeed, I know dear. And no, and I'm the president. Say, I know they will make sure that they will prosecute or more. But Attorney General, the other to just finance minister, dear, they say, I don't know who's so. I know that any part of Ghana Hampono. Most of the people in Ghana now say, I should show Masoka Kra. I think they no can who be na Dormaahene. I can said the all canon. And yes, any mam you know, but it's your kind. I know Okasa about Attorney General, the was finance minister who so no. And yes. Ono so betimi afa asem no na odi akokota na so asamo ma reinvestigate ho nsem etie said the beya ono so benya how he wants it to be unfolded.
Okay. In some way Dormaahene dia betum bonten so far how has the reaction been amount for adwenture no mususu ye efa nsem ne ho te sen.
Yes, unse said the kind no omo nhye dan nim asem no mu hu ne say National Cathedral investigations be aye wo ho bia no omaye avie because somewhere July 2025 and our reports need be started by my President John Dormaahene Mahama ejina so group board no. Okay. That is some of the outcomes no omomu gu aye board no e wo National Cathedral so no. Okay. Yes. That was when they finished with the audit in the disbursement of cash at National Cathedral. After that, I assigning Attorney General also the investigations on the financing. What I say, no, so na you clear finance minister. It's the people now who how the man was talking. They feel like the man papa no had their own kind near my na investigations no you know that the investigations do say no person on this National Cathedral. Okay. And people feel say the man is not abreast with issues with the National Cathedral. And he should have been known to this particular and I say issues are able on National Cathedral and so say I didn't can audit me know so that before Babontin Tisenko Babontin or Bekasa it should be based on what has transpired and I say investigations may know the SC and only I didn't say two different investigations and my people feel say investigations you know nti investigation being bio so obeso ohu bibia ene ono anka samfa asem no enko court.
Okay, abusianfo so Dormaahene nsem a wode abeto dwa no na ye pense mu bie mu ni so e de chewo na chese ni nyina ne kofa ba nyina ne se attorney general nsem bia wode beto dwa efa eye cathedral no ehu no na me se wonte ne ho ase a ama ne disansem mu abeto dwa. On the same cathedral issue, the president of the land, His Excellency John Dormaahene Mahama, wababe kasa ede afahu na sede na ye nuabema no kano say with regards to the investigations and audits near there akoso with regards to this whole national cathedral no the Deloitte Ghana woman so bi near there wo de ho response near there by mampani agine no so aka msemba ku mienu bi de afa cathedral no ho a amafo chim se ne ekoba ne se wodi ne nsem so se de wo kan de na bia asofo binum kra ho betimi a che wo wo krodue mu hanom se Chris den na mampani eka.
Yes, and see, President Kosunyane.
Okay.
And as I call Ahafo, Menkanesa, Ahoy Bono, sorry, or call Bono region, and as a Bono East, as which is said almost Chemuno.
Okay.
So, until Kosunyane, Atroni, Achinsia, a quine or more yeno.
Okay.
Sunday, Adam is Enreya, and Omoko Kate, sorts of Mobesha, Sene Hunema. And now odi tuja about a project we couldn't account for them near day and omubisano no say or National Cathedral ne ho nsem no said ye call ye bia no bia ne ho bom mu bia se bia nipa we wodi ska and I say we procurement breaches wakotu sika na broso ama said ye na wo senki nya no ye nya ne saa ene ade se saa ne koba de a wa ebebo bia no obe make sure say omo edo be court and say be prosecute you namra no ene edi e wo honom. Okay,
for as you can see on the screens, this is coming from a Ghana web, but say National Cathedral President Mahama promises action against embezzlement. You can embezzlement say mo sikani bia form enum mo form nsase mo form na ase nyina no they will be dealt with. Enti ye mu kakra. What President John Dormaahene Mahama has stated that anyone found to have misappropriated funds in the National Cathedral project will face the full rigors of the law. They say Embrano Ebeye Juma Cathedral issue. No, not just said this is looking more or less like a response to Dormaahene and a call or calling for President John Dormaahene Mahama to take action ASAP. Now, also speaking during a sword cutting ceremony for the Sunyan Exp0se project on Sunday 31st December 2025, he stated the $97 million used to dig the pit for the National Cathedral will be thoroughly scrutinized. We have requested the Attorney General to conduct a forensic audit to expose any wrongdoing. Anyone found to have embezzled state funds will face the law. So we have not abandoned the matter. Investigations are still ongoing. International Mampeni Trema, we must say reports about Bontain concerning this whole National Cathedral. But then, and yes, be a to na JJ Mwana say bibi, they are still on grounds working. Say or more say bisikani before Musa. We know say this cathedral issue no had a board and Pentecost 4 chair no. The chair of the head was a Pentecost 4 almost sorry penny yes. And we had I saw for like Duncan Williams name some of these pastors what's their name Perez also for Ajinasari them were all there yes and some of them came to resign they are there and sana yebegu board so you could see say all these people happen to fall prey to investigations because according to president they say sike bifa onsa say Emrano ene ebedi. So should these men of God be worried? And I'll say they didn't omoye asofo ntino obi omuntimi embezzle fund.
Oh well, unse and I make us say unse say make your car procurement breaches are because that is the main and near course.
Okay.
And Ghana hankasa so no ye bobo corruption near there. Most of them start from procurement.
Okay.
And horns and ceremony are there. And say ye question because on the board no metimi aka say ebia ye wo de obia wo de men can say bibi shenensa. There were times how omo ye adwuma some of them were accountants, some of them were omunyina yes na ba kokra okumase. They had to rent a room in Accra for him with like your boss kanidi nchewa odwe ho say National Cathedral yes nko ho sika dan and yakohan the amount what I say and some of them said the medical kind ebi wo ho a yanyin tum say yebetua ebia $500,000 and I say ebia $200,000 and I say $100,000 yanyin tum but no metua sika no and the next time I the agreement never say yanyin tum no mo be hwehwe no mo say if we are paying this amount for this particular item and I said this particular service you share the service items name owo mo I say yetua kana enso sa sika no na bia enso amotua sika na wie afei na mo be ma vendor no edi ne sika no bi aba back and assessing do you understand enti one na ebias that particular sector na ehye won sa na ekohwehwem ebia wo na o sign ye ma sa procurement we course wo na sign ma we course na say ohun bon mu dia na so for asem nti sanity dia then definitely omo ehun bi beka. Yes.
Okay, but then looking at it, this cathedral issue, you share asofo na nkomu di animu anka this project will go on, and maybe say are Ghanaians disappointed in this men of God say omudi bibi animu ti say na afi we are say no we are having the most expensive pets in our country.
Answer yes say politics one way a politician be sebi obey ohun fin now you are not aware of it.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because Eboboba said even sika na almost send the bano some of them momo no you know say the short code we be to abontia Ghana for say if you want free data dial this short code we dial say if you want to donate to National Cathedral press 1 there people were creating some sort of fund on that. People were sending money through that short code, but it got to a time a buy say or more year audits near the no. Some of them were not traced.
Okay, do
you understand? They were not traced to the coffers of the National Cathedral. So omono, where did they go? What I say? So abaya juma and because a religion in the idea software then atuano. It is a bibi ankoya. Someone or politics as any or religion as no but who say if free say politicians no and about for it what I say because so far me over be when you preach here obi so for kodi boni be said then crow no di so for nechi what I say so people who understand will really understand it but because a buy a lot of people were talking say now so for crown na makoye say so for crown na enema be say mo ntimi anhwe say the now we can mo ntimi anhwe amana nkodi but then their main followers there they know who their pastor is, they know who they are following and all that. And the politics, any religion as an obe who say when you know free politicians nama aso for be say at home. Yes.
Yeah. So that is a detailed report from Union Bemakers concerning this whole National Cathedral and Sema President there Babetuja. Na semni nyina say anybody found a year guilty no ade anipa no ye betwe na so said they say. Now, you moving on na chese ye da so gina ebibi man Africa hanum say enne amene wo kase wo Ghana ha ana wo any African country na se ote se ebia we are talking about colonization now we who say it has got something to do with the African countries said they are brofono eba ya sebe wo mo ebe ye slave trade wo mo de nneema bi Ghana for any other African countries besisa emu nipa de koye mo koye adwumadene ne ade bi mu fa mu wuye ne sometimes when you go down history lane to some of the forts and some of the castles in Ghana near there, you get to know more of the stories near there. The gate of no return near there, but then for some time now, Africans have been seeking reparation from the whites. I mean, kind of said our colonial masters. Compensate for all the hardship and the stress and the pain. Any or how African countries no esono. This has been going on to the extent say Edru baby no say UK ye who say one lady asebe anka ye shepa na ninchi every Africa enzo nei sebe wa build ne to a certain pedigree o friend saying UK ntino o kire say you forget about the reparation and no nso koye nsem bebre but right now information na eba ni tremu say President John Dramani Mahama, the president of our land, sabre de say o pese one eye bibi man ahodo a sebe omo go through that same colonialism near there no women presidents for ahodo ne come tibom so that they fight for a good cause for this whole reparation because baby edro no they have to do something about it. Chris, when you nasha see free here and why is President John Dramani Mahama the one to lead this cause for the whole of Africans?
Sir, President John Dramani Mahama, he's seeking to become the AU chair.
Okay.
And no one. And I'm saying we're in a name for a reparation. 2025 a year African Union declares a reparation year.
Okay.
They are seeking for justice for Africans and people of African descent.
Okay.
Through reparations.
Okay.
Then Omasa declared 2026 to 2036. I think that is a decade. And also someone declared a decade of reparation. I say 2025 as well. The next 10 years they are still going to fight for their rights. And says some of these things are Africans, transatlantic slave trade course so ship free different African countries. So there was a delegation so this delegation not US UK, the Americans, South Americans, it was a whole team. So that delegation is President John Dramani Mahama as part of the African delegation. Now, so this is what we are seeking for. Okay. And speaking out, the other African leaders, or moment who said this is a cause that they have to fight together. Because as on a phase of seeking reparation for Africa. And now the African leaders say almost so he can push this cause and win for the whole Africa.
Okay. And to share your screens so you see that this is coming from Reuters or say Ghana's president urged to rally African leaders behind push for slavery reparations. Not to say Ghana ye mampeni John Dramani Mahama and asabre de wodi mutinteman di mu akotene said de beye bibi man amampeni ahodoa wo mo ewo krom hanum sei no wo mo ebetimi agina wo mo na so agina brane na said de nua be ma ne kan ye no atete ne obrene enema sebe abrofo idi ebe fame all in the name of colonization ye be boama mamani ate ni ade ebe soaso ye nananom ni ade ekofo obremu ni ade no. I mean, we believe that ye nananom omomodembo omadwumaden and ama today we are seeing the Western countries to be how it is. Say obeko US there the system is working. There ni ade ni nyina no ehase free baby a say no I mean Africans are seeking say it should come like we should compensate here ni ade and Mamimbu said this compensation that Africans are calling for, are they calling for in the reparation in a form of cash? In the what type of reparation are we looking at here?
Yeah, so I mean they are seeking for material in the form of cash but
okay.
It comes in different forms.
Okay.
Some are grants and
okay.
They are seeking for policy reforms, especially trade. And they said because of you want to compensate Africans mungu niememu with a trade.
Okay.
Some of them tariffs near know be able to me at and some of them the artifacts or move free Ghana and I say memu had the coin said they return them.
Okay. Then
they are also seeking for a formal apology.
Okay.
And I mean a formal apology. Some of the Babontin now ebimu astati akasa about the fact that they are sorry for all these things
how
that happened and how Africans were treated near there. In so many forms. Osha policy reform now. Make trade. Never be brave to say movie. Then at time anamu hian kofu de most say omo de omo ko bebre what I say over they stated I think 12 point something million people.
Okay.
And omo free Africa has omo ko ye na then de mo de omo ko build kro ni wie ye no Ghana ha na say bibi memu ha pese omo tu kwan ko European countries ni bi America ni ade na akoye den.
Okay.
What I say policy reforms ni nyina it cuts across a year migration ni ade say the be ye betimi aye for we enjoying the fruit of your own labor.
Okay.
And you know, policy reforms ne be when trade tariffs near the. And you know, in terms of sikankwa, it cuts across and emanema be brave. And only the kind of reparation the AU is seeking from the Europeans, the Americans, and the Omomaka.
Okay, but do you think, say, this reparation that President Mahama is leading and chairing, no, emfa any insunsan so bonibia embeto my Ghana? So I mean, the Western world won't see us to be like maybe their enemies, and I say bibisa.
Oh, there be. I mean, say the most poorest continent, Africa.
Okay.
Checking our GDP near day, check here, Africa, we are the most poorest continent. But then these things are you know. It should tell the international world said some of these things happened somewhere back in the years. Okay. What I say, it's no say. BBC yes, na say it was some mobana mo be patch out, mobana mo make you mental. And don't just say you come back and then one man be say you be enemies because we are seeking for some of these things. The yana says some of Ghana, Americans, Africa or more. I mean, anti-Western world for no they are still fighting a good cause because no say. I don't know seeking reparation for no. It hasn't ended.
Okay.
You know, some way, somehow, this slave trade, slave is still going on.
Okay.
What I say? Because then at Benin, you ever say cool and ya dia pay. Now France to me order Nigeria say monko hona monko support it. What business has France with Benin? Do you understand? So some way, somehow, they have omangasa for be so are connected with the African leaders are. Now, no, a diplomatic, trade, and I say slavery, what I say, the leaders in Africa, some way, somehow, are still working for the Europeans, the Americans, and all that. And people feel, say, at this time while you are seeking for reparation, no, this is as idea musiki reparation for no, it is still going on. And the end me say all of a sudden you be enemies to them or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Into we see for interest screens so it says that Ghana's President John Dramani Mahama held talks with a global delegation seeking reparations for transatlantic slavery and colonialism, who urged him to rally other African leaders to choose courage over comfort and support the growing movement. Not to say, my Benichima, it was saying, you know, all the presidents now, they went through that, you know, they should be courageous enough. So that they can all support him, because I think the president John Dramani Mahama cannot do this on his own. He will need other presidents to collaborate. Remember, it's in a collabo. Said sebe ne chibe do na obetimi aye seeking for whatever they are seeking, you know, rightfully. Now, also the delegation made up of experts from Africa, the Caribbean, Europe, Latin America, and the United States presented Mahama with priority actions and that the African Union's reparation agenda. It is said in a statement on Friday. And he said it involves a lot of people, the Arabians, Latin Americans, in Shemudi, of course, they were all involved in it. Right now, they are all fighting for a good cause. African will say compensated for all what we've been through. Sometimes when you listen to some of the colonial stories and how certain things occurred, yes. So back to you, my members of this particular question. Some of the adage and their session that so buy no mama ye near be kakra kasi sebre mu bi ho no manka ya tete body ahaban bi dia tatatale ho kra achichire man si achichire ye mpokua no with body ahaban ne ye de kakra achichire akusua kuma ne sonso ne ye nam ne say yayi. But you can see both of they are wearing shooters and what for tete. If not for them,
I understand where you are coming from. Yes, omo e de ni bie kakra e bae, but
kakra omo de ni bia ba
omo de ni bie kakra bae. Okay, omo de ni bie bae but you know, as of now no senye omo ne bae ya enka some way somehow bianke yenje be hu how I be ye niema. But so. But you know, but then you were talking about President John Dramani Mahama. On say championing this kind of a cause, no. You see, so the media can say, omo a omu gidi say ade na nkasa no omu nya ye enti mo kwa akopɛ compensation aye den we should fight and get it done. Minga say omu yentwa so kra e bi na AES for omo starting now they own their country, they do whatever that they want without any being being puppeted by any other maybe a European president and as will be. And he said, "O champion is such a cause as a president. Wangasa as a president, been a two Kwame Nkrumah. Do you understand? And Yangasa as Ghana and our president, no, any adding about. So people have their views that and President John Dramani Mahama, no, AU, chairmanship, our pena as a best of the Ghana in our same way. Because already know, was the Israel for a new Mokra will issue cry and can do you understand? In as much as some our patch or no, this is not something that you could say, or make J Manaka cry. And see, some way, somehow, the Western world, no, president, now someone who is not championing their cause. Okay. Said how they want to, deal with Africans. Said they be caught in their favor. Now, see, Donald Trump signing a peace deal with Congo near Rwanda. Okachom, Okachom say, Obama, omo big companies na baho, na omo abe starte, abe ye omo mining because a lot of minerals in between Congo near Rwanda, omo bodano. Obama omo baho, na omo be ye juma. When we finish, we'll get money, everybody will get money, we'll all win. But Charlie, before on baby, 100% Congo and Rwanda, omanya mwa maybe at 20, 30 cranes and yamena abomo. I just say, it is still now, they find some way somehow to enter into our territory and do, some kind of a diplomatic slavery. Ghana, African. It's yes, Nameka President John Dramani Mahama. Yes, now people will start, the Western world will start looking at you in a funny way. When someone started war, Nansiana also for be say one who cry in Drew March and some yes, Martin. So
that is all about the reparation issues that EXP0se and said in your bear this is going to take more like a decade. They are championing it. Ibegosu ADNO Echina Chase Munsembia Bebano Yeshemobose Yebebremu Emu updates. Now, right now, the man of the moment in Ghana, our trendy number one, no, will be say Yankasa yeah, everywhere people are talking about him, and as it stands now, no, just say and people will be wondering why this man, the man of the moment in Ghana, yes, our trendy will be everybody is trying to drag him. Some are dragging him and some are defending him near there. I'm speaking of chairman, you can't chairman to me. Yes, chairman to me trending number one. Ghana Hanum say it is based on one or two and Sembia the attorney general about the ababeto and so and biano the updates be by na yomuchemu said they've not gotten enough evidence editia yen sema enam so modechema untimi ko jemu court until it looks like he's on the winning edge, but as a nensema APP bano it looks like chema untimi or kikakoni dumu anesa. Now Chris is here. Before I back to some of the things attorney general the eto emontenso no, just give us a brief hitch of what the attorney general said.
Yes, said Odika Kain and some of the bana yachre chairman omudi niema omuye niema. Okay. Ama say the one sha na so ebetimi ayeshi wo ho sen some attorney general dey tudwa na say bono nkwa dia na so betimi ayeshi because then na pro forma invoice o de be kire say your receipt awatu ahonka. Okay. Enti eno ho nsem na wo ho sa no nti yekotie ba am se de nchemu dodo na de bema eje ahwefo na etifo ebusia yenje bre na yentie said the attorney general Exp0se ansem we munyina FI
payment systems and wanted to be paid in cash. In order to execute the project, Wontumi Farms Limited had submitted a pro forma invoice to Exim Bank for the purchase of farm equipment, including tractors, combine harvesters, corn seeder machines, and Wellington boots. The invoice was submitted on December Limited would then receive funds directly from Exim Bank for onward disbursement to workers, to the workers' wallets as salaries and allowances. Ladies and gentlemen, Wontumi Farms Limited failed to provide a database of farmers, of farm hands to IBAN Capital
as there were no farmers working on the land, no farm hands working on the land. According to witnesses, Chairman Wontumi, as CEO of Wontumi Farms Limited, insisted and put pressure on IBAN Capital and Exim Bank to transfer the 400,000 meant for the workers to Wontumi Farms Limited on the basis that the youth who were involved in Galamsey were not used to complex electronic payment systems and wanted to be paid in cash. In order to execute the project, Wontumi Farms Limited had submitted a pro forma invoice to Exim Bank for the purchase of farm equipment, including tractors, combine harvesters, corn seeder machines, and Wellington boots. The invoice was submitted on December 15, 2017 as part of the loan application process. Subsequently, Exim Bank demanded proof that the equipment has been purchased. On March 18, 2018, Chairman Wontumi submitted a receipt from a company known as Kasama Enterprise for the purchase of the equipment in the sum of 4 million Ghana cedis. However, and this is where it gets interesting, the equipment purchase as shown on the receipt included bulldozers and excavators. Our investigations established that Chairman Wontumi had approached Kasama Enterprise, an industrial equipment dealer, and obtained an invoice with a promise to return to purchase the said equipment. He never went back to purchase the equipment. Instead, and this is where the criminal enterprise began, he forged the invoice he obtained from Kasama Enterprise by removing the word invoice and replacing it with receipt. This forged receipt was then submitted to Exim Bank as proof that he had purchased the equipment after the disbursement of the loan facility. The owner of Kasama Enterprise confirmed to investigators of the Economic and Organized Crime Office that the only document he issued to Wontumi Farms Limited through Chairman Wontumi was a pro forma invoice and not a receipt. He stated that after he issued the invoice, he never heard from Chairman Wontumi again, despite repeated follow-up calls. The forged receipt submitted to Exim Bank suggested that Kasama Enterprise acknowledged receipt of the sum of 4 million Ghana cedis for the purchase of earth-moving machines and farming equipment. The so-called receipt had on it, and ladies and gentlemen of the press, this is what gave him away, 50 days to supply and 1 year guarantee and service. Now, I hope you understand what this means. That when you receive a pro forma invoice, okay, pro forma means that you've taken it with the intention of purchasing. And so they will give you a timeline, okay, within which the supplier will supply you the equipment. And then also, if there are any services or guarantee terms, they will be indicated on the pro forma invoice. But Chairman Wontumi, as I said, took out invoice and replaced it with receipt to deceive Exim Bank that he had actually purchased the equipment. Investigations established that Chairman Wontumi did not purchase any equipment and as such could not register any equipment in the joint names of Exim Bank and Wontumi Farms Limited as per the loan conditions, even though funds were disbursed to him to that effect. That all the equipment he claimed he purchased could not be traced. Investigations established that though Chairman Wontumi submitted the forged receipt to Exim Bank, he stated during interrogation that he purchased second-hand brand new, whatever that means, second-hand brand new equipment, and that the receipts of all the purchases, including the documents on the equipment, were all sent to Exim Bank. However, Exim Bank has confirmed that neither Chairman Wontumi nor Wontumi Farms Limited submitted any documents covering the purchase of the required equipment except the forged receipts. In fact, when our investigators went to the ground, they realized that there were some obsolete, decrepit machines on the side, tractors dating back that were manufactured in the 1970s, and that were not functioning, were the ones that had been placed on the farm. So this was definitely a grand scheme designed to defraud Exim Bank. It is clear from our investigation that Chairman Wontumi and his company, Wontumi Farms Limited, made fraudulent misrepresentations to Exim Bank with a view to obtaining the loan facility, and in fact did obtain the loan facility. The equipment they represented were to be purchased were never procured. The farming enterprise never materialized, and so no young persons were employed in Asare Nkwanta in the Ashanti region. But more importantly, the company and its director and CEO forged a receipt in order to deceive Exim Bank that they were in compliance with the loan conditions. These are not mere breaches of a contract, but constitute acts of criminality, by no means a person than the regional chairman of the then ruling party. In the circumstances and the face of the evidence we have gathered in this investigation, thoroughly conducted by the Economic and Organized Crime Office, we have made the decision to prosecute Wontumi Farms and its directors with defrauding by false pretenses, forgery, and causing financial loss to the state in the sum of 24,255,735 Ghana cedis. This figure represents the principal sum plus the interest that has accrued so far. And ladies and gentlemen, by the time we file charges, which will be definitely after the Christmas break when we resume work, it might be that this figure would have increased because the interest on the principal keeps compounding. And so we will get the exact figure of the amount that is involved in this criminal enterprise from the Exim Bank before we file charges in court. Ladies and gentlemen, in the case involving Mr. Percival Akpalu of the Liberal Party of Ghana, the Financial Intelligence Center flagged and filed a suspicious transaction report with First Bank Ghana Limited regarding transactions on an account belonging to Poma Universal Ghana Limited. That is a company owned by the said Kofi Akpalu. Following the STR, that is a suspicious transaction report by the FIC, the Economic and Organized Crime began an investigation into the matter. The investigations revealed that Poma Universal Ghana Limited, a business entity owned entirely by a lady called Ekua Poma, was the legitimate contractor that was awarded a feeder rows contract by Cocoa Board. The contract, which was valued at 29.5 million Ghana cedis, was awarded in December 2020. Although the project commenced and an initial amount was properly deposited into Poma Universal Ghana Limited, subsequent payments raised serious concerns regarding misrepresentation, forgery, and unauthorized handling of the checks. Our investigations revealed that Akpalu secretly incorporated another company, separate and distinct from Poma Universal Ghana Limited, also known as Poma Universal Ghana Limited, but deliberately added H to the Poma. So Poma is P-O-M-A-A, all right, Ghana Limited, which is a company which is owned by Ekua Poma. What the company that he incorporated added H to the Poma, so it became, I don't know how to pronounce it, but the same Poma, Poma Ghana Limited, Universal Ghana Limited. But the difference was just the H at the end of Poma. And so after having done this, between December 2022 and June 2024, Akpalu collected 8 checks issued by Cocoa Board in the name of Poma Universal Ghana Limited. That is the original and authentic Poma, totaling 3.1 million. That is 3,169,432 Ghana cedis and 22 pesos, and deposited them into the account of his own company, that is also Poma Ghana Limited with an H at First Bank Ghana Limited. Again, our investigations confirmed that Ekua Poma was unaware of both the existence of the Poma Ghana Limited, that is the second company, and the diversion of the funds until Cocoa Board contacted her in June 2024 regarding outstanding balances on the contract. She subsequently discovered that Akpalu had collected and misdirected the payments without her consent. Ekuapoma also alleged that Akpalu forged her signature on the cocoa board contract using her former name, Mercy Owusu, to secure the agreement without her authorization. First Bank Ghana Limited conducted an internal investigations and corroborated the fraud allegations that we have made, concluding that Akpalu knowingly misrepresented ownership of the checks and deposited them into the wrong account. The bank acknowledged operational failures in detecting the discrepancies between the check payee names and the account numbers. The suspects who have been investigated are Percival Kofi Akpalu, Poma Ghana Limited, the Poma with the H, and Delvin Akpalu, his wife. That is the spouse of Kofi Akpalu. It's fast becoming fashionable to commit crimes with spouses these days. The evidence shows that they engage in various criminal offenses, including stealing, forgery, and money laundering. And they will be charged by my office, again, as I said, upon resumption of work after the Christmas holidays. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the media, further to the update that I provided during my press conference to announce the conclusion of investigations into the buffer stock scandal, my office continues to work with other institutions of state to bring charges in relation to the oral investigation reports submitted by the National Intelligence Bureau. As you would have known by now, pursuant to discussions with the Auditor General, the sums of money involved in the National Service scandal have been disallowed by the Auditor General, and these sums have been surcharged on the public officers who superintended the looting of state.
Abusia, that is the Attorney General Yera Dominic Ayeni and Yokoti in Sema Waditu Montenso concerning a near Sebe, Womwetimi Agada, Efa Eye, Chairman Wuntimi, and Chris. Before we move on, no, then Sama Attorney General Kenyano, Ubekasibiana Brofoni Mususuna, where Huswa.
Yes, so in a minute, no, I'm say, and some said, Bob and said, they can't catch my own to me. Say, no crest, I did not know who I was. Was you could do a brew? And your bonnet, MPP time now, so could do a brew, no, so you were matty. Okay. And now, Ukope loan, I think it was a boy 24 million Ghana cedis also, Exim Bank, Ghana Export and Import Bank, and also Koji loan. And now, Koji loan now say, which said the audio choir, there should be some level of commitment on your side. What I say, also could do a bro, and see a bro now could do. What are the processes that one has laid down? And yes, all bedis can be acquired before. What I say, Okoye normally okay, and if approves of a year commitment towards the project in Ebra. And I'll say, only Kasama for a could deal now. Top bulldozers, ne harvesters, combined harvesters, ne plows, ne ade tractors, ne ade warm to the tune of 4 million Ghana cedis. No crown wide and what you these are some of the documents or gather I say or the Kojisa loan. And they say or the coin no knowing said, me fan say documents on the coin. One was a pro forma invoice and a forger receipt, which shows say or matoniema no etuaka. What I say? It is more Tonyama Netuaka there. That means what committee on home. So what Tonyama will go there. Then let's push you. So that we bet me on my projects and I come buying to me. So that export and imports or more export side they can liaise with you now. Eja or met me export so near be producing be. And it's almost here more and no enquire something or my forge. At a point in so yes if oniema and I say and sasi. Actually said this sasi in sasi a wokwa project no so where nya mfa ma wo say wo start adwuma na wo be employ enkofu eno so fa ehun data crabra eno so a went me amfa ma enti eno nyina keka bomu a na che say sa loan no mu hu ne say they went to defraud a Exim Bank. That is what the Attorney General is trying to say. They just went there with a fake document to defraud them, say beji loan abra muni projects be amode kwa. So rounding it all up no I'm say no.
Abusia is really going to be a long long year for Chairman Wontumi. But then koswa a monitor issues no. Now still on this NPP corrupt officials cases kosono apparently Ghana former finance minister Yera Kenoforiata wonunso se say the say his doom is near. Chairman Wontumi doom we ben ese Kenoforiata so the ben. Now as you can see on the screens, or say extradition of Kenoforiata. Kenoforiata will become vulnerable after 14th of February 2026 when his US visa expires. This is coming from one of Ghana's investigative journalists, Manasseh Azuri Awuni. Inti Manasseh nsema odi abetu jane say already Ghana yankasa ya pet Kenoforiata che ye pa right from and someone the lawyers the betuja say oyare he's going through mechanical surgery process near there, and I mean, to the extent that I'm saying, come to just say your former president, Nana Dankwe Kufuado, the 1 or 2 at a Kasabia to 2 more man and said the bear, you bet to me, Amana Ghana without people, and I said the security grabbing him at the airport near there. But from what Manessa Azuri can, which you must say, baby, by 14th February 2026, there, not Kenoforiata and US visa, I expire, and also be in same in this light, no, honorable Exp0se Edin Sembia Betuja Efa Afa Sansemwe Ehoyenkotie no Emra.
Consequences or the potential consequences of maybe the failure by the Attorney General or the government of Ghana in extraditing Kenoforiata. Honorable, what are the possible consequences?
Well, so first of all, consequences politically will deepen impunity. Kenoforiata is not there alone. He's there with his chef de cabinet and a Sakori. Now, why will Kenoforiata and a Sakori flee the jurisdiction of the country after the MPP lost elections? Why will they do that? Are they running away from accountability? If we fail to bring him, it will create a pathway for future politicians who have questions to answer on their tenure, but who ran away from the jurisdiction. It will become like a new norm. People who have questions to answer will simply flee. And we don't want that. And that's we will urge that on the American courts. We are not saying that he's guilty. We are not pronouncing him guilty, and that's why the Attorney General said that he will not be persecuted, he will be treated fairly. We are saying that he has questions, and those questions relate to his involvement with the SML. And if he comes to answer those questions successfully, he will answer those questions before the Attorney General or the senior office of the senior special prosecutor. He will answer those questions before the court, and the court has a duty to be fair in all matters, in trial and in criminal proceedings. And so that is our argument.
Honorable Exp0se Nensema Wade Ababetu Monten so concerning this whole you kind of saying Ken Ofori-Atta issues no. Now as you can see on the screens this is coming from the US President Donald Trump. So US President Donald Trump launches new gold card visa program allowing foreigners to pay 1 million for faster permanent residency. So it's like this is kind of answering mechanism Manesse Azuri Nsema Wode Abetu just say ne visa ne be expire in February 2016, and this is telling us says sika sebe sika ne ebetimi ayeden akasa ama, right?
Yes, so the entire, I mean, we also saw that a post free Donald Trump hono. Manasseh Azuri ne digging oil in Exp0se Ken Ofori-Atta, former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta will become vulnerable after 14th of February 2026 when his US visa expires. He's on the visa no expire 14th February. That means he's vulnerable. Do you understand? Wangasa no some say Wangasa will stay now, will stay no visa now expire. So it's either you come back and reapply, and I say quite best on me. That is when President Donald Trump now if he's able to pay 1 million Ghana cedis for that gold card now, and Ghana just over dining now. What I say, that will I mean, men gonna say a bet for a faster gold card or green card or a gold card. And a bet fast track process number maybe be within some period no to 14th February, maybe on a gold card. Now, if he's able to pay the $1 million, that means Ghana had or Mahabu. What I say.
So, not to say the said the stress, but the processor attorney general more firm because we had say or more a year report and I say in Krata Koma US for so one no umuntimi extradict taken Ofori-Atta to Ghana no. When you gold card now, he can't be extradited or what?
So see, the whole thing is Ken Ofori-Atta has to find ways and means to extend his stay in the United States of America. What I say, and I already know size extradition no crano and Quebec. But if there is a way a bit me heading about back to Ghana, naturally say ebia ebe send a visa spy into was say or back no berry apply. That is how a Yemanas has really seized the whole thing. Say it will make him vulnerable. Say some way somehow he will have to come back to Ghana.
I said, Ken is my senior brother. But on that day, I was the one saying he should be tried in absentia. And you and many others blasted me for a month and said, what do I mean by trial in absentia? Insisting that Ken come back. And I made the point.
Me, I didn't blast you. I just asked questions.
You, okay, fine. But later on, there was this whole discussion and blasting me because I said that if I was Ken's lawyer, in any case, any lawyer who was Ken's lawyer will not come. Now, a lot of the things I'm going to say have been said. I'm going to try and put it in a way, hopefully, to make it easy for people to understand, our viewers to understand. And I'm going to read this statement, and I'll show you. It's coming from the UN Convention Against Torture, Article 3. It's coming from the ICCPR, International Commercial, you can Google it, Article 6 and 7, African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and the ECOWAS Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance. They are there, Articles 5, 6, and 7. This is UN, African Charter, ECOWAS, and all those things. And I'm reading. It says, you find this in different forms in each of these ones. It says, an accused has a strong legal basis to refuse return to an antagonistic country. If it says, if an accused has a strong, if hostility translates into real risk of unfair trial or serious harm. Hostility can translate into real risk of unfair trial or serious harm. I'm not saying, it says if. And then this follows. It says, you can resist where there is political hostility to the accused, political hostility, politicians saying things against you. trial, persecution, or harassment, things that constitute that. Lack of judicial independence, if there is a seeming lack of judicial independence, moving judges and all those things. Use of special tribunals or emergency courts. We are talking about tribunals today in Ghana. Evidence extracted by coercion. I can't say that is happening. Denial of legal counsel or open trial. No, that is happening. Now, my point is this. Over the year where Ken's issues have been debated, I sat here at the last time and said, we are talking too much. And instead of focusing on actually prosecuting the man, we are focusing on the drama around his extradition and the public blood test for Ken to be seen, to be paraded in this country, to be handcuffed and all those things. And that those things were not material. Which is why I said, if we want to do this job, let us go ahead, focus on his prosecution, which can happen in absentia. But at that time, when I was speaking, nobody was moving in that direction. And I released the information here that he had not even been charged. Ken was charged in November last month, after a year of talking, which gave all these grounds for Ken to resist. Let me make the first point. What the OSP did and what this government has done has given Ken a solid defense. And that is what I was talking about. That defense is why he cannot, or he will have a means to defend or to prevent himself from coming here. Let me make this point. Dr. Ayine is a top-notch lawyer and also a top-notch politician. Let me tell you what he was doing. He was managing expectation of the public by informing you that with the kind of things that have happened in the past year, which constitutes a defense for Ken, with the kind of lawyers, and of course he will have lawyers, and of course he won't have little boy lawyers, he will have serious lawyers. But Dr. Ayine is a top-notch lawyer. What he is telling you Ghanaians, he won't say it, I will say it, is that it will be a small miracle to extradite Ken Ofori-Atta to Ghana because of what the government, especially the OSP, has done. They have given him a solid defense. In any case, in the space of 3 years, he was telling you he can go to the first instance court, do an appeal, and go to the US Supreme Court. In the space of 3 years, it will be a small miracle to bring Ken to Ghana. Let me add this one too. You are asking for the extradition of a man who you have badmouthed for a year and who you just charged last month, who is not a convict. When you have a sitting convict in Sedina and you have not brought him here, you've left that one and you are asking the US government to extradite somebody you have simply charged when you have the room to prosecute him in absentia and you haven't done it. He's trying to tell you, Dr. Ayine is trying to tell you that it will be a small miracle. Don't expect him to work that miracle. So see, when we come here and we talk like this, it is not because somebody wants to support somebody or whatever it is. It is because I see these things, and many times when I say things like this, people don't like it because of the way I say it, but this is what happens. The last time I was saying the way we are going is what is going to lead to a situation where Ken Ofori-Atta will not come, not because he's guilty. Ken has not been tried and proven guilty. And I'm telling you, do you know the number of charges against him? 78 or so. Are you aware?
78 is for all the accused.
All the accused. Any prosecutor.
I think there are about 20 or so against.
Any prosecutor involved in a serious case who puts up 78 charges is not serious. It's not serious. Because you and I know how long it takes to prove them, to try each of them. There are 2 or 3 that are going to catch the person.
Right, doesn't it matter the number of people involved?
It matters the number of people, but I'm saying that, look, the focus, who have we been talking about? Ken and his colleague.
When we had in excess of 78 charges against accused persons in the court, did you say the Attorney General was not serious?
You can have 1,000, but I'm saying 2, 3, or 4, not more than 10. Are going to nip the guy.
No, it's a general statement you have made that any prosecutor who prefers as many charges as 78 is not a serious one. And I'm saying we are living in a republic where this is actually not the highest number of charges.
But that's not the point.
An attorney general
here's my point. Here is my point, not what you're saying. My point is, in a matter like this, where you have a very laser focus on one person, and then you dump all these other people in, you don't focus, and you bring 70 plus charges against the person. All right?
You are not serious.
You are not serious. Because if you are serious, you will know that these plenty things, only less than 10 are going to hook him and then send him where you want to. Let me finish. Let
me ask you this.
It is important for me because you see, these are the things we do and then we will lose the case. Look, I'm telling you, read through the charges against Ken. He will walk with most of them. And he will use that to stretch this case. People have stretched their cases in this country for 8 years.
I was going to ask you a technical question. You say laser focus and deal with a couple of, charges. There are 9 people involved, right? Mm-hmm. And you know that the charges are not like standalone. They are interconnected. Mm-hmm. Somebody has done this and brought this person in. Somebody has done this, so they are interwoven. So how can you just single out Ken Ofori-Atta? Because you won't have a predicate offense.
Every prosecutor has a wide discretion, you and I know, on who he attaches for prosecution. That's one. 2, what charges they bring against that person. Some of them even flip people within that circle.
The case is SML.
My brother, see, I know you're trying to moderate, but you're actually tackling me. So my point is
no, I gave you enough time to speak before I ask questions.
No, well, I made this point and we are going back and forth on it. Yeah. And my point is that, I repeat, any prosecutor who is faced with this kind of high-profile case, where there is a primary focus on one person, who, if all the people go free and Ken Ofori-Atta alone is convicted, the people of Ghana will be happy.
So is it your judgment that the prosecutor's focus should be Ken Ofori-Atta rather than all the other parties that have been
My
charged?
judgment is that given the way this case has gone, the persons who are prosecuting this case have made a series of bad decisions which will inure to Ken's benefit. And one of those bad decisions include how they've managed this process and also the fact that you are dealing with 78 or so.
You haven't answered my question.
I'm making my point.
There are a number of people, including companies.
Yes.
Is it your suggestion that he should be singled out and those ones, how? I don't know.
My suggestion is that all the people who are culpable should be part of the prosecution, but the prosecutor has wide discretion to decide who he will prosecute and who he will not prosecute. So he doesn't necessarily have to prosecute all of them. He can prosecute some now. Crime does not have a statute of limitations. So where you have a focus and for the whole year, it's only one person you are dealing with. Why don't you focus on that, deal with that, and deal with the rest later?
You think sincerely?
I think the strategy will lead to Ken working for.
Okay, so you think sincerely that in a case where a company is accused of these quote-unquote corruption-related offenses, and a number of individuals are the ones who are alleged to be the ones who played the various roles, one person should be picked out.
No, that's all I said. What I said is the prosecutor has wide discretion on who he can prosecute. Why don't prosecute 2 or 3 people for now? Why don't you have a total of 10 charges against them which can stick and then later deal with the rest? And I'm making the point and I repeat, the way this case has gone on is what will make Ken Ofori-Atta.
Will you not have been the same person who will charge them of incompetence, that there are more than 2 or 3 people who should be charged and they are charging only 1 or 2?
No, I don't do only law. I teach strategy. Law is a tool for strategy. The strategy should have been clear that you are going to focus your resources on 1 or 2 persons for now. Crime doesn't have a statute of limitations. And then deal with the others later because you have a major issue. And now you've spread yourself so thin, 70-something, you spent a year bad-mouthing the guy, and now you have all kinds of situations which have constituted a defense to Ken. That's bad strategy on the
Of the 78 charges, which one of them do you think should have just...
I won't go into the details of that now, but I can say this with all the force I can muster, that it is not good strategy under a circumstance like this to go with all these when only a few.
You've made categorical, emphatic statements that Ken will walk.
No, I didn't say he will walk. I say the way this is being conducted is what is going to...
What that tells me is that you have surgically examined the charges. That's why I'm trying to narrow down so we help our viewers. Which charge, for example, do you think is useless? Which charge do you think it's so bad that it will lead Ken, potentially to work?
I am not going to go into the details of which charge will make him work or not. I can say emphatically that anybody who brings a total of 78 or so charges in a matter that should be focused is not applying the right strategy. Anybody who has conducted a case that's this high profile over the year and only charged Ken last November, okay, and that's things, says things, does actions. And when, this is why Pebu is upset, okay? When Pebu found out that indeed, even when it came to the conduct of the, what do they call, the investigations, the OSP was lying. Oh, we didn't get the necessary help to keep him. They didn't try anyway. They've conducted themselves so badly. People was totally upset, and that is why he's written this. So I'm saying this thing has been botched. Look, people of Ghana, when the ultimate happens, don't get upset because you think Ken is this, Ken is that, or Ken hasn't done this or that. Sometimes it's the way the prosecutor or the prosecution handles the matter which makes it fail. And like I said, I sat here some time back and said, why haven't they started that trial in absentia long ago? They are not starting. Okay. So I'm saying it's not going well. And if this doesn't work, people should understand that sometimes...
This is not trial in absentia.
No. They are not starting the trial in absentia.
It's not trial in absentia.
What is it? I thought you said...
No, this is not trial in absentia.
No, what is it?
So hold on. I was going to ask a question, but I don't want to lose my focus.
Okay.
So the GRA bosses... Which one of them is not top and important in the case? The man behind the SML, which one of them is not important? So you feel that it would have been better to let them and deal with Ken?
There is a saying that if you chase two rabbits, you will catch none. I'm not saying this or that is not important. You see, in the US, they have what they call RICO laws. Okay, that's another matter. In trying to catch the mafia bosses, etc., they have plenty of them around. But they know that sometimes when you pull one rope, it unravels the rest. When you have one conviction, it will help the rest. So what they do is they focus on one person, flip other people to deal with that person. It's strategy. I am saying all of them are important. But take this. The strategy by which this case has been prosecuted is going to lead to a defeat. Or at least it's going to make the case difficult. That is what Dr. Aine was trying to tell you. Well, Dr. Aine was trying to tell you that this thing is not going to be easy.
All right, and see that was a Attorney General and somebody to job about a chairman want to me any or more are canning in our ewo. And she said na or cannon seminal from a Manasi Azuri a honum eba the Exp0se Inusafuseni so and someone or the ebe to jana or trese. Yes, indeed, say abain and I said. OSP went to me amfa Ken of Yata Magana ha ebeye ensen na ho e de ama appointees o maka no ebetimi aba amanaba because enese mete na obi ka se aban free so pe
Sebi enfant odifo are fine, odi bemunso are fine, but we don't know. But the question people are asking is it not right say Oforiatta would just surrender omrani entutu na no and say with what he's doing, no, can we say bia na he's guilty of the crimes are yede ebono?
You are not guilty until proven guilty. And someone said the omode koma United States authorities no mo kire omo say enye say he's guilty o. Omra no meyi nsema no. What I say because say and some no said the main cancer charges net here no or more apeja docket no ne ho investigations a document
no
my enti no ehun say because say them diga kan my enti no ehun say because say them diga kan charges ne doso and as yes or ba onim sa charges ma kuma 78 onim de be convict no de be ma ya che no akwa to afiase. What I say it people feel say the man is trying to run away from justice. But then I said this is and some noble bokona near my copy US near the Nidia. Say process no cost na bibi ato na akwema. Papa no betimi be pay Ghana through a extradition.
Yes, so back to the extradition issue no. We saw about the gold card visa. Just say if or playing the cards well, he could apply for that visa. Now the question is, Onipa Sebe, a country like Ghana, Eden Krata, say help us extradite. Do you think that they would be willing to give him that gold card visa?
And aside gold card, no crano, former finance minister Ken Oforiatta has the right to fight extradition. As I say, a lot of people are they have the view say as I was starting cry fighting with a US based lawyers. What I say, obey me acquire to even the US Supreme Court. Say the mother country, they are trying to bring him to Ghana. What I say, and also will be a different process in the United States. I don't know, through the authorities, Ghanaian authorities, any the US authorities are receiving extradition request,
okay.
Or with the US Supreme Court judges, no, or tries or handsome naka. It's before I become some no cry, you know, be a crowd 2 years a term. What I say, and sana, dear extradition, I best add an ban process, no, so best beginning. I mean, until our lawyers for honor, they have ways and means they will try to cut connects, prolong issues. Some of them cry, they even benefit lawyers now. Some no cry, can you no cry have sika obenyano nyina. I mean, you can't say we are saying be at work. It is our process ni nyina wo honor and no can even prolong the whole thing.
Okay, and Tinache say, Ken Oforiatta, he has all the rights to even fight extradition, no. Beban. And now looking at Oforiatta, the family he's coming from, no. And they said the cousin, the Kufa do cry, relax. Now, not just say they know what they are doing. Umuan Obi say they know the Omuankasa Omo eye. Now, yen free Ken Oforiatta and Semneswa and Chayebia. Na watche twemu ya na Her Excellency Nana Ama McBrown edin sembi beto monten so se wono ene ne kunu Maxwell Mensa aware a wo mo aware since 2016 no aware no finally aba ne wieye. Now she gave a lot of explanations and no twemu say one ne kunu mo to mo ho ase. Amen, she was tired, her husband was tired, aware ne abre what ya say ade so ne ete ne ese for better for worse. And so according to McBrown do no okoye no wentimi anye for better for worse no wabre okwam e na nikunu nso abre nto mate omo ho ase e na obi akọ separate ways na sansem no e na okeka bi kan ho a ene Saliman meka ne say one of the nemesis of Nanama McBrown ne say asem we beto dwa na mi akasa I presumed say Saliman do de ba be Nanama McBrown asem we hu no just she didn't disappoint me. Now McBrown somehow kan say she still wears her wedding band because ni kunu so won she otumi nso ko ni kunu efie ni family house ko no aduane ene ade ebusuafo ni kwa no mpese ombegu aware because according to McBrown she did not sign any court document bia ene customary marriage na na ede nsa ko ye de malt ni coke ni ade ko ye whiskey ni snap ene ko ja aware no kama into one eye court ni nsensem bia. But Saliman has a different opinion about this whole issue. Binumo chese is out of mere hate and ama Saliman ne kasansem way. But then ye be judgment na mamu. But before that ne ba kutie said the Saliman I breaking down the issue concerning this whole McBrown and sema wode etu dwa ye ba ye be di ho nkomo.
This warning to all the McBrown fans. You guys don't know who Maxwell is. Stop projecting the boy say when you broke ass person McBrown cry the channel. Because comments nothing who sa. Maxwell is richer than Nanama McBrown. Let us put it out there for people to know. Nanama McBrown only richer than Nikunu Maxwell. It is a picture now you painting out there say as if say Maxwell is the rich. As if say Maxwell a bema or bankwa on baby. People should stop. If it's a bema no, say we who or ya. Say we who or ya. And come on tell what say Maxwell. Nanama McBrown did Maxwell a favor by marrying him. Kabuba realizes say it was rather Maxwell that did Nanama McBrown a favor by marrying her. Thank you. This warning to all the McBrown fans. You guys don't know who Maxwell is. Stop projecting the boy say when you broke ass person McBrown cry the channel. Because comments nothing who sa. Maxwell is richer than Nanama McBrown. Let us put it out there. Diowa. video a year actress Nanama McBrown a year recently about ni divorce aba na ensem bia okeka wo ho they are blinded by her a dream say na Prez the ex-husband Maxwell but they nye Prez. It was to set the tone for drugs for the boy and now for the man. Why am I saying that? Go for the brain etra krum ha omaja aware. What I say omo announce say bia we are no longer together. What in person I say I be a choice so both parties near tenase and ya agree say and ya dear ye pesi enware bi na just be chaso. But this particular interview was so fake, uncalled for, hypocritical, and our faces was setting Maxwell up say when more or my general work for mono a bed drag boy. Why am I saying that? So what the bear major na would know good terms mu. Next will be a conif quine. Said ye see castle be a conif quine dear. What's up with Ebusia for the crats nas no be a see one penny so. I was so a mum penny. And I what's up with me coffee or crack on Regian is had the money d. What's up with what's it me ring you know money in jai she na men koswa you are a big joke. Stop looking like a silly woman. Because such things, you know, and we look silly. What can say more divorce? What can say a friend is a more cordial relationship because of our franua? What dear Mawono? I can't end there. It's your dear who can't yen as a boy anyone in Chocho Mutra, any so Chocho she confusion I was set to a more. Say yet na hesi nyina ya tete say abranti ani date say wa meboa. Now they just imagine say an ex-wife. Oh me best your crab and aduane o. Max e cry say me ring ni mami ni o na ya na me tira wa me mfa nja kakro. Na abusiafo ni se wo mpna si o. That ye betimi asaware biemo. What are you telling the lady or the no? That's absolute disrespect. Na so person course say that's why do se wana. Anadia ye be sa wono. Oh me the Maxwell say they finally ye divorce na ye dey abam. Na semwa kika wo hu wacha die. Why we say we all get that with Maxine. We all get it. But stop making Maxwell look like the corporate here. That's the word, right? Obina corporate. When they corporate.
But also wabre.
He is the victim.
No. Also wabrentino.
Maxwell is the victim.
No, Oban is wabre.
And I make sure say, share. Who say? Asema no kasa ni nyinara no. No asa kasa say. They said they are okay. Edu bebi ni mabre. Se oba kasa wabre wa ruadie mu a. How does it make the man look?
Wabre,
no, Ajumai, tell me. Se metina we ma ware na me ko guarantee interview. Na me kasa say. Edu baby no. In my bro. No my. How am I making you look?
Not just na me tietie.
Exactly.
So, who is insinuating?
Exactly. No, but William, so what's now?
Are you using me as an example?
Yes, me use you as an example. Me use you as an example. Analogy. ABM. Analogy BM. I didn't know. And I mean
Saliman and the submissions one make key concerning a year Empress Nana Brown and I say Excellency Nana Brown the divorce no Chris who follow Saliman very well you know say Saliman has always been on the case of Nana McBrown. Fiti just a timer McBrown cry free United Showbiz they call near show time near Denina she like I say or time lady no and McBrown fans are on her say the hate is too much. Obi no den who no see we na worry. Why do you have to go and sit down and be spilling all these things? You think she's making factual submission? And I say the omo can say a hate in no one or hate on my bro.
Oh, say a hate to any hate to you know, a lot of people out there who say her Exp0se she's doing too much.
Okay.
Because first of all. You have a lot of following, people who are very loyal to you.
Fine.
So you have a lot of following, people who will still come and stand beside you and probably say the even without you talking asking them to do. Do you understand? And you said the Saliman Ekano, some way, somehow, she's trying to incite her fans against her husband. No?
Oh, really?
Because Obekasa wa bread there, that means you are trying to say, guy no, ebi or tete or maweni nje no brains yenye yenjai. But the way I was no, I quite to say, guy no, I say, yena kumemu no ni mujai. So now who why the man mujai what is happening that
a brand new thing
a brand yes exactly a brand day a wo honti our bra do you understand? And she said American way Obibeka said she's just trying to be in the good books of people. I mean she's always want to be in the good books and then people feel say she did it to the extreme because somewhere jaya what we expect you to come out and say oh ye jai I mean mutually there's no other strings attached yes or the scab bro say fasha crana or the beshano but see as we speak now we want a baby but to talk a lot about it as a moko kofi konso jina kwentia bisa no now who is moving on Wangasa as Nana man you are creating something around you. Other people will feel say you still have a connection with your husband and they won't come. And as a we're moving on and as Saliman Eka say you will create confusion between whoever we're moving on with. And just more jaya. People will respect you and still be beside you as they have always been. Say Ghana for pewasem they still now they will be beside you.
Okay.
Do you understand? But to say Obekano to the extent say people now say Obama will be who say I say eya yasem mojai. Do you understand? Oh no, and you just let it go. Nipa no ko one no ba and I want money on man still now they are there. Do you understand? It's one no ba. I don't know what is probably keeping you guys still there. But say now, say me keeping me ring in a long story.
You feel like those details were not necessary?
It was not necessary. Do you understand? Let the people dig into it. No more marabons in Mecca. But say, well, she's still, it's been a long time. She's been on the screens and we have to get a story or something to talk about her. I don't know. Because those talks, ideally
okay, now Saliman in Semana Okikano, she was talking about the fact that a man for air dragging Maxwell say Maxwell is poor. McBrown nebi e wusikani adiena. Say I say Maxwell is dwelling on the name, the fame, the riches of McBrown. But Saliman is also giving us a different narrative right now. Which you say Maxwell ADB like Sikani woho. It is McBrown who is even tapping into Maxwell's money and grace and all that. Don't you think say Nunti and McBrown is saying they are still close, they still have that cordial thing in there? Because even Utie McBrown interview she made mention of the fact say Maxwell is still handling some of the deals ade what I say. So is this ascertaining say McBrown and Maxwell business deals near the internet? McBrown was opening up all those details.
You see, in the beginning of what she was saying, she was very right. She started very well. Say, in as much as so majai, but and non say or more they are enemies.
Okay.
That is the basis of how she started the whole argument. And I said the whole thing that she was saying.
Okay.
Ejin kasenka and ho. And because in himself, I mean, watch him and answer more worrying and Mojaya and just a Luciano Abontia for Bibi Koboni Trim and I say, Okasan, who I may feel, and I say, who's a baby chow on who I won't yet, and from one. So, the way I all can answer, maybe no nanka me who is enka metro margines sumpo say, one can say, said ye, or say, the deals we are still now he's handling it because yes, me when I start here, all of a sudden, no, ebi I wanna win how the whole thing at here, and Maxwell can still go ahead and then ebi I handle it, and your bonnet. But to say to the extent that woman looky say I said still na bibi romu maybe a mushi ani na you crampa bibi betimi akoso na ade I mean
it's a no go area. I was for my who wadwenture and all that about this whole Mark Brown's issue.